Pleasure to meet you, and so great to talk about this film.
Yes.
I was thinking when I was watching it that I would have loved to be, a fly on the wall on this set. How was the atmosphere?
Electric. I think when you're making anything about Freddie Mercury, there's always going to be quite an infectious energy on that set. So it was a tremendous amount of fun.
What came through your mind the first time you were offered the role? You know, this is a big responsibility. This is his muse in a way, and we'll get to that shortly. But it's quite a big endeavor.
Definitely. So it's initial excitement and kind of somewhat disbelief. And then as you're doing all the research, the excitement goes up and so does the panic, I think.
So what did you find out? I had no idea who Mary was. It's been a thrill to discover the influence she had on Freddie Mercury's life. Yeah,
no, I don't think many people know very much about Mary, and I think that would actually please her to hear. She's a very private person. And in the sense that his public life, his performances were so public, and to counter that, he tried to keep his home life and private life as far away from the all-seeing eyes as he possibly could, as he could afford to. And I think Mary was that home, as he was for her, and they were the kind of eye of the storm that was the Queen world.
Was she available to you? Did you inspire from her in any way?
I didn't get to meet her, unfortunately, so Brian May was my main source. He actually introduced Mary and Freddie, so it was really beautiful to hear from him kind of how they were as individuals coming together and how they impacted each other.
Let's talk about the fashion and what it means to have been Mary with Bieber in the 70s.
I mean, you say Bieber to anyone,
yes,
and you can just see how influential and iconic it was. And so to go back, I mean, the set was built with such breathtaking attention to detail, and then to go there in the Bieber uniform was surreal, but very exciting. And yeah, the Julian Day, our costume designer, is just brilliant, and I'm still pursuing all of my costumes.
How many are we talking about?
I mean, as many as I can keep. Those were all, I mean, to live in those was just heaven.
Tell us about your relationship to Queen as a band. How much were they, growing up? Was it music that you listened to? I mean, they seem to be in everybody's homes.
Well, exactly. And I think once you tap into the kind of awareness of them, as this film forces you to, you become so conscious of how surrounded we are by their sound, by their music, in all shops and bars and everything. And so I think in that sense, I was always very much aware of them, but at the kind of peripheral of my consciousness. They always feed into everyone's life, especially if you're British. But now to have a greater insight into them and the context for their songs means that I listen to them in such a different way, and it's a real joy. It's a real gift.
No, absolutely, and the music is so original and so different, and they were so creative as a band as well, which is what the film talks about. And I did enjoy that it doesn't really put the focus on Freddie alone. It does put the focus on the band. How much did you enjoy that aspect?
I think it was a really important aspect to establish, because of course he was the front man, but they were all the minds behind all of it. And I think that has been the key to the fact that they are so timeless, that they were four very different individuals who contributed and collaborated in four very unique ways. And so that created this very eclectic range of songs that they have that never fell into any trends or genre.
Let's talk about Rami and how amazing he is for this role. He is also a great guy, I think. So how was it working with him?
It was a lot of fun, and the transformation was fairly shocking to see. And he was always very much in that Freddie energy and in that Freddie world, which made him as a scene partner so much fun. And I guess really liberating, because it just means you get to play more in and around the scene.
Was he in character all the time, or was he Rami the rest of the time?
I think it was mostly Freddie for a lot of the time. He would take the teeth out to eat, thankfully. But for the rest of it, no, continued that electric Freddie energy. It was a lot of fun to be around.
And so after the film, do you now have your repertoire of favorite Queen songs, and which ones are they?
Yes, it changes a lot.
Yeah.
And I like to listen to the earlier stuff as well, just to hear the kind of genesis of the band. But one of my favorite songs is Save Me, which is a later song. It's on the Game album, and I think it's beautiful.
And how much did you learn about the context of Love of My Life and how it was written, etc.? How much did you live with that song for a while?
I mean, I was aware of that song before, but then of course, as the film continued, as we got more buried into our characters, it had greater and greater meaning. And then our last day of the original shoot was Rami and Gwil filming that song, the concert in Rio, and it was the last moment of the filming. So Rami was taking this big sweeping bow and throwing kisses out to the audience, and we'd all wrapped, so all the cast and crew were watching at the monitors, and our director Dexter turned around and said, "I'm going to ask him to do it one more time, and then we'll all applaud, and that's the end, that's the wrap, that's a wrap." So everyone starts to kind of panic, realizing this is the end of this huge roller coaster of an experience. And he did, and we all applauded, and it's all on camera, and he comes up and acknowledges what's happening and just sings, and then made this tremendous speech. But it was so moving, and I was like, I'm not going to cry, I'm not going to be that person who cries. And I turned around, and all of the crew were just in tears, bawling. So it was, now that song has that attached to it, so it's a heavy one.
It's a beautiful story.
Yeah.
And finally, after this, rock and roll of an experience, what would you like the audiences to come out of the film feeling? This is a movie that's not going to be like others.
Yeah, I mean, aside from the tremendous lessons that you can gauge from this film, of the way Freddie was just unapologetically himself, I think that's such a powerful thing to take away. He always said that he wanted people to find escapism in his music. If he could free someone from their world or whatever they're going through for the 3 minutes or 6 minutes that his songs went on, then he's done his job. And so I think if that film does this, we're serving him well too.